afternoon and welcome to the preseason kickoff special on Bay County TV. I'm Jeff Doan and along with Mike Wisdala, a whole lot of excitement surrounds 2019 with Bay County football.
I'll tell you, Jeff, I am really excited for this season to get underway in less than a week. I'm looking for big things from all of our Bay County teams. We got some good-looking football players, good-looking student athletes. We got a great schedule this year. We get the best seat in the house and we get to have a lot of fun watching these young men play.
A lot of youth and inexperience around Bay County last year. I really feel strongly about that being a good year of experience, and we will see the dividends in wins and losses this year.
Yeah, I think so, Jeff. I think a lot of those young players got a lot of experience at the varsity level. Some sophomores were brought up. Some juniors had to play quality minutes and in key positions. So I think this year's experience on all the teams in Bay County is going to help them be successful this year, 2019.
Well, we just can't wait. Again, yesterday I had the opportunity to do a preseason scrimmage. Got a chance to see two Bay County teams in Bay City Central and Garber. Really liked what I saw from both of those teams. Ran into Coach Clyde at the grocery store, found out a little bit about the John Glenn Bobcats. And when you talk to Bay County coaches, the one thing they do is smile like a Cheshire cat.
Well, you know, those coaches, Jeff, are really, really good. They've been around a long time. They're good coaches. They're good on the field. They're good off the field. They care about kids, and they're dedicated to their craft. And we have some really good head coaches, some excellent assistants in Bay County, and they do a fine job with all the kids, all the student athletes in all the schools and all the sports. So I've been a head coach. I know what they have to go through on a daily basis. I take my hat off to them and say, great job, guys.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the great preseason special forthcoming right here on Bay County TV.
At Covenant Healthcare, we lead with the most advanced technology. We lead with the most experienced, comprehensive medical and surgical teams. We lead with partnerships to teach our future doctors and with organizations who help us bring world-renowned care close to home. We lead because our patients are at the center of everything we do. Covenant Healthcare, extraordinary care for every generation.
Good afternoon and welcome back to our preseason special here on Bay County TV. Jeff Doan and Mike Wisdala along with you. Let's get her started with the Cougars.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff, it's hard to believe, but here we are, 2019. The high school football season is just around the corner.
It's less than a week away. We are extremely excited about the possibilities. And as we start with the All Saints Cougars, you always start with the head man. And it's a coming home party for the head man. And I believe his second year back at All Saints.
Yeah, Eric Gus, Jeff, back at All Saints after a little hiatus, so to speak. Did a really nice job last year, had a 4-5 record. Cougars are in that 8-man football league. And we've said it many times, if you haven't seen 8-man football, make sure you get out to see the Cougars play this year. They're going to be exciting, and it's wild and woolly and a lot of points on 8-man, as you well know.
It's one of those things where if you're a fan, it's great. If you're a referee, you better bring those track shoes. But, you know, quality this year, not quantity, as they're down to 14 kids participating.
Yeah, that 14 number is a little bit lower than what they've been used to, Jeff. But you know what? Eric will have those kids ready. They're practicing hard over there at St. Stan's Field, and they're gonna do some good things this year. I feel really good about the Cougar chances this year.
Now, unfortunately, 3 kids from last year that were contributors not make it back. One with a head injury, one with a severe shoulder injury, and that really hurts, but you certainly have to understand long-term health for these young men.
Yeah, you know, Jeff, when you're young like that and sometimes you get hurt, you got to make some tough decisions, and it's for the benefit of the student athlete, and they're going to be fine. And unfortunately, they're not going to be part of that sideline this year, but they're still going to be part of that team, and Eric will welcome them into practice and make them part of the squad. So that's a tough break for All Saints, but as I always say, you got to dance with the 14 you came with, so the Cougars will be ready.
Now, when you've got 14 people, probably the biggest thing that you've got to work on as a coach is teaching multiple positions for each of your players.
Well, if somebody goes down during the game, you got to be ready to play. If the center goes down, then the guard's got to move over to center, and maybe the halfback's got to go over to play guard. So you get a lot of reps at a lot of different positions, but they got that tradition over there at All Saints, Jeff. They're going to play some really good football this year.
They've got a young man in his third year starting at running back, started as a freshman, young Mr. Dugalon.
Dugalon is a speedster, Jeff. You know, when he gets around the corner, that young man has an extra speed, extra gear. He does a nice job. You know, he's not very big, but he's not afraid to punish either. He'll kind of run you over if he gets that chance, but if he gets outside, beep, beep, look out, there goes the road runner for the Cougars.
Now, he had a great freshman season.
Yeah.
He kind of came in under the radar. I think to his benefit this year, he really had to work for everything he got last year.
Yeah, he did. You know, he got that target on his back. He was a marked man in year number 2. He's going to be a marked man in year 3, and he's going to be a marked man in year 4. So the word's out on that young man, but he'll do some nice things. He's good out of the backfield, and he's good in between the tackles, but he's got that extra gear when he gets way outside by the sidelines.
As we look at the schedule this year, we got a great fall schedule. Let's talk about the 2 games involving the All Saints Cougars.
Yeah, Jeff, we do have a great schedule. September 13th, early in the season, game
number.
Friday the 13th, at All Saints. Flint International Academy's coming into town. And on October 18th, All Saints is taking on what many consider a really good program over there on Lake Huron. Carsonville Port Sanilac will be coming to St. Stansfield, Jeff. So those are the 2 games that Bay County TV will be doing, and hoping good, exciting things for the All Saints Cougars this year.
We're excited about the possibilities for the All Saints Cougars. Back in a moment as our preseason special continues on BCTV.
Our smiles can light up a room. Our work can light up an entire city. We're the men and women of the IBEW, working with a code of excellence that guarantees the job will be done right, on time, and safely. We're lighting the path to the future. Let us show you just how bright that path is.
Back at our preseason special here on Bay County TV, time to talk about the Bay City Central Wolves. And we start with second-year head coach Kevin Frederick.
You know, Jeff, we watched Kevin Frederick mature, cut his teeth here at Bay City Central as a coordinator, and saw him up on WKJC over in Northeast Michigan at Whittemore Prescott. Kevin has done a nice job, has had a nice career, and the rumor is he's looking forward to a big year here at Bay City Central.
Now, I think when you look at last year, they struggled about the first 5 to 6 games of the year. New coach, new system, and new terminology really took these kids a while, but they finished the season strong once they figured it out.
Yeah, and let's not forget one thing, and stepping into the shoes of the head coaching position following a legend and Coach Morley Frazier. Like you said, all new things, all new terminology, but you know what? I think the kids did a nice job, prepared well, fought hard last year, a lot of experience coming back this year, so the Bay City Central Wolves they're going to be an exciting group this year.
You start by talking about the returning experience on the offensive line with 4 of the 5 starters. They really had to bring some people up last year that don't think were quite ready to come up, but numbers and injuries dictated. But that should be one of the strengths of this team this year.
Well, they took their lumps last year, Jeff, but you know what? When you listen to what's going on with that offensive line, it's a nice challenge for them this year. They've worked hard during the offseason. They got to the weight room. They got in good conditioning, and they're gonna prove people wrong that last year we were young, inexperienced, new terminology. This year we're coming out to play, and we're gonna put some hats on some people.
Hayden Yachuk at quarterback was an understudy last year to the career leader in passing yards in Brian Elder. He got his share of snaps as well. I did the scrimmage yesterday, officiated it, and he was pinpoint.
Well, it's good to have somebody with experience. You know, Brian Elder did a nice job over all the years that he was here. He's no longer with the Wolves, but Yachuk will do a nice job, and he got some time last year, so he knows what it's like varsity level in the Valley, and I'll tell you what, that's going to be a very, very good league again this year.
Then you look to running back. Running back success is determined by the offensive line. The offensive line should give some holes, and if he can get through the front seven, he's another road runner, and that's Unique Houston.
Unique Houston is very unique, Jeff. He is another speedster. He gets outside. You're just not going to catch him. And you know what? He does a nice job in between the tackles. He's strong enough to run there, keep everybody honest, but he's got great field vision. If he gets clogged up center to guard, he can bounce it outside. And if he gets outside, he's down the sidelines. It's 6 points for the Wolves.
He's got another gear, which he showed yesterday. The other person that goes from 0 to 1,000 in no time is the wide receiver, DeVell Washington. And DeVell, after, to his admission, had a substandard junior year, is really looking to finish out his career at Central on a high note.
Well, what a unique combination. You got a great running back with speed. You got a great receiver with good hands and speed. That's a tremendous combination, and with that experience of that offensive line, you know, that's a lot of threats right there for the Bay City Central Wolves, and it's going to be tough to defend against them. That offensive line, they're ready to rock. You know, look for some tricky plays out of Kevin Frederick. We know he can be kind of a sneaky guy when it comes to calling plays. So if you got that type of speed, you might as well unleash him and get him going.
Well, and last year, as the year went on, Brian Elder became a big factor at running back. Hayden Yachek yesterday ran the ball very well, too. So you've really got a three-headed monster offensively, which has got to be a nightmare for defensive coordinators.
Well, what a great three-headed monster, like you say, Jeff, throwing the ball, running the ball, and a quarterback that has some speed and maybe do some options play and do a lot of read option and
little RPO.
Little RPO for the Bay City Central Wolves. But you know what? It's going to be a fun year for the Wolves, and Engel Stadium will be rocking at home on Friday nights.
Can't wait to find out how that all transpires, as Bay City Central will make it happen. What are the two games that we've got for Bay City Central this year?
Jeff, on September 27th, we got a big one.
My birthday.
Is it happy birthday, by the way? in case I forget.
That's good. You're the first.
Central versus John Glenn right here at Engel Stadium, Jeff.
Oh, and we know what happened 2 years ago here.
Yeah, it was a dilly, wasn't it? And then, of course, October 25th, the last game of the regular season, the Bay City Western Warriors will head down US 10 and come right over to Columbus and Johnson and take on the Wolves in that extraordinary special rivalry that's been going on for all these years.
All right, back in a moment as our preseason special continues on Bay County TV. AAA Transport and Limousine is the Great Lakes Bay region's most reliable and requested transportation service. For over a decade, we have been helping our clients to get to their destination on time, in style, and comfort. AAA's services include non-emergency medical transport, wheelchair accessible, school transportation, and shuttle services. We strive to provide exceptional customer service and tailor our fleet to meet your individual needs. Rest assured that you are in safe hands when you ride with AAA Transport and Limousine. To set up your next appointment, give us a call at 989-893-8294. Good afternoon and welcome back to our preseason special on BCTV. Jeff Doan and Mike Wisdala. Let's talk about those Garber Dukes who coming off a 5-5 season last year. A pretty young team last year that I think is really going to come into their own this year.
You know, Jeff, going 5-5, that Duke team got a little taste of the playoff last year, and that's not a bad taste to have. They didn't win that game, but you know what great experience for that young team last year coming into this year, had some playoff experience and got some experienced kids coming back for 2019.
And Coach Quillard,
Nice.
I've been practicing.
Coach Quill, he's been practicing.
He's one of the veterans now coming back here. As he's been around that program out at Garber for a few years now.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job out there, Jeff. We've watched their practices. They're very organized. They're very intense. He's got a good-looking group of kids this year. And again, I think Garber is going to be really good this year and surprise a few people.
Well, it starts off with Adam Schimmel. Had a great year last year. 71 of 136 for 1,140 yards through 15 touchdown passes. Not too bad for a junior.
Not bad at all, Jeff. And, coming back as a senior, he's going to be the leader of that offense. He's got some good experience. Runs the ball fairly well also, but as you can see, he throws the ball really well. 15 touchdowns and 1,400 yards. That's pretty good. And, when you've got that type of experience at the quarterback, he's going to demand the respect in the huddle. The kids are going to listen to him, and he's going to lead those Dukes down the field.
Well, and he's backed up by a guy named Tommy Shapansky, who, as a freshman, as a baseball player, in his first game ever throwing against Western, throws a 2-hitter, 2-1 victory, and signs with a very noble institution recently.
Who would that be?
The University of Michigan.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Not too many freshmen
Yeah.
have that accolade on him. So he started as a freshman on the JV team last year. Athletic ability extraordinaire, but a good learning opportunity behind Schimmel. He'll have the reins for the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good experience for that young man, Jeff, and that's good depth for the Garber Dukes. Sometimes you look at it, you might not have that depth, but the Dukes got some depth this year, and they're going to be very, very tough to deal with in the TVC.
I was here for the scrimmage yesterday at Bay City Central. Garber was part of that as well. One of the things that Jake Coquillard talked about was the great leadership. And I said, senior leadership? He said, no, leadership. He has got some underclassmen. His son is one, and there's a young man named Van Sumeren that is stepping up to the front. Oh, he's bigger than his brother.
That's pretty big. But you know what, Jeff, when you get the younger kids and they're stepping up and being leaders, sophomores or juniors, or maybe sometimes if you're lucky enough to catch a freshman like that, that is a huge, huge job off of the coaching staff. A little peer pressure from the kids onto the kids is not such a bad thing, so it's good to see the young players stepping up.
Well, and young players will continue to step up. 2 years ago, that 8th grade team, I had a chance many games to officiate. They dominated their opponents by 40 to 50 points a game, so the future looks bright at Garber.
Cupboard's not bare out there at Garber, Jeff, and that's good football out there for the young athletes. And Coach Cole does a nice job, and he's keeping some consistency within that staff. And every time they come back every year, the kids know exactly what they have to do, where they have to be, how it has to be done. It's got to be done the Duke way. If it's not going to be done that way, we're not going to do it.
Well, and during the practice yesterday, I had a couple of kids come up and go, Mr. Doan, which games do you have this year? Oh, we're about to tell the world.
Well, young folks, I'm going to tell you right now, September 20th, the week before your birthday, Garber is going to take on that old rivalry, Jeff. The Panthers of Birch Run will be over there at the Garber Field, the Ed Harvey Field, I should say, and on October 11th. This is kind of like old Northeast Michigan Conference rivalry. The Garber Dukes will host the Standish Sterling Central Panthers in that game.
Homecoming night.
On homecoming night.
So that's going to be
we love homecoming.
A big night for one and all. That gives you a little taste of what we've got from the Garber Dukes back as our preseason special continues on BC TV. So your car is getting towed and you're not sure where to take it? Try Village Towing and Auto Repair. Our expert mechanics are here to help assist you with all your repair needs. We have over 30 years of experience with motor vehicles, so you know you're getting the best work that you can find. Stop by the shop at 2377 South Huron Road in Coquitlam or give us a call at 989-684-9607. Back with the preseason special on BC TV. Now let's talk about the John Glenn Bobcats. And Mike, when you start with the Bobcats, numbers step out at 45 kids out for varsity football.
That's an impressive number, Jeff. When you get that many kids, the good thing is you might be able to bring the offense on and have the defense go on and not leave any kids out on that field. So that's an impressive number for the John Glenn Bobcats.
And you've got a head coach. He's one of the long in the tooth head coaches, 10 years as the head man and 2 decades in the program. So he is definitely a Bobcat through and through.
Man, 10 years as a head coach over at John Glenn. I remember when it was like it was yesterday. But, again, consistency in the coaching staff at these programs at John Glenn is really key because you know what, Jeff? When you walk out on the field, you know what you expect from the coaching staff. You know the drills, you know know the timing, you know the plays, and that's a big thing for coaching staff. You just blow the whistle and we're going to go do what we got to go do.
Last year, in their assumption, 1-8, a substandard year, but they were decimated by injuries early and often in the season.
Yeah, we saw them a couple times last year, Jeff, and it looked like Radar O'Reilly and Alan Aldo over there was a mash unit. They had a lot of injuries, but they overcame it. But, you know, as bad as some injuries are, Jeff, some younger kids, some younger players got some playing time. So now they're used to that varsity level, and it's going to be big things for the Bobcats this year.
I'm telling you, Coach, you're scaring me. You're starting to think you took my next question away. But we roll right on to a senior-led quarterback, a 4-year starter at quarterback. That is almost unheard of at this level of varsity football.
Well, you know, I remember when we watched him as a freshman, Jeff, and we were so impressed with his composure and the way he was handling himself out on the field. Job Long, the consummate professional for the Bobcats, does everything well, does the little things well, and is a good leader for that offensive team. And I go back to seeing him last year when he was hurt when we went out to Western. He was out there throwing the ball around, going to receivers, had the headset on, I think, when he was on the sideline. So, you know, even when he wasn't playing, he was still trying to help that squad, and I see coaching in that young man's future.
Man, you're right inside my head. That was going to be my next lead in as well. He worked as hard after he got injured as he did. Now, he has got a Rory O'Hare connection that connected yesterday in the scrimmage for 4 touchdowns. This is a combination that is going to be electrifying. He's got just enough speed to be elusive, and his hands are exceptional.
Well, he's got a great quarterback throwing to him, Jeff, and O'Hare, like you said, great hands, good route runner, solid. And if Job gets the time to throw the football with that nice offensive line, I'm going to tell you what, O'Hare's going to have a big year. But I do remember nice routes and really, really good hands for that young man.
Nathan Jacobs, first team All-Saginaw Valley League last year with 105 tackles. You start doing the naught and you're almost 12 tackles per game. That means you're everywhere on the field.
That is very impressive, Jeff, and he goes sideline to sideline when he's playing football, and he's not afraid to get in there, knock a few heads around, and 105 tackles in 9 games. That's really impressive, and you know, that defense will get better this year. Got some good players coming back, but when you got a leader like that on defense, that's just going to go all through that defense.
Let's look at the schedule and see the 2 games that involve the John Glenn Bobcats.
All right, September 27th, like we said earlier, Central versus John Glenn at Ingle Stadium. And then we have John Glenn 2 weeks in a row. We'll be heading out to, if I'm not mistaken, going out to Bay City Western to play this year against the Warriors. So, boy, we got a little county rivalry 2 weeks in a row with Central, Western, and John Glenn.
That is going to be fun. Look for that team to make huge strides from last year's 1-8.
They're going to be fun to watch, Jeff, and they're on a mission. They want to make sure that 1-8 is not going to happen this year, and that coaching staff and that team, I feel really good about what's going to happen.
Best of luck to the Bobcats. Back in a moment as our preseason special continues on Bay County TV.
All right, now you're just like Danny, huh?
They'll probably never know about his thousands of hours of on-the-job training.
Here, go, Daddy.
Or that he spent as much time in the classroom as someone with a master's degree. You and I know he's one of the experts when it comes to electricity, part of a team committed to doing the job right. They call him Dad. You call him the electrician right down the street. IBEW, the power professionals in your neighborhood.
Back once again with our preseason special on Bay County TV. Jeff Doan and Mike Wisdala along with you. The Pinconning area Spartans now. And as we start to talk about them, they have got a huge first game of the year against their next door neighbors.
Boy, remember those days, Jeff, when we used to do the Pinconning area Spartans and the Standard Sterling Central Panthers, 15 miles apart from each other. Lots of respect from each other, but boy, when they get in between the lines, that respect is out the door and they just go after each other. Really good rivalry.
Dave Levasseur, head coach. born and raised through that program,
Yep.
has the opportunity after great success in Oscoda to come back and get that program going. Had a bit of a down year last year, but I really think that they had a great off season in the weight room, and they are going to be counted on very heavily by a great two-way starter in Blake Schumann.
Well, Blake, we watched him, Jeff, many years. He does a nice job. Dave Levasseur, we saw him cut his teeth up in Oscoda when we were up there watching those games. He comes to Pinconning, puts some new wrinkles in there, gets the kids in the weight room, really excited, gets the community involved and doing a lot of nice things. And that guy is one high energy coach. And he always looks good too with the shirt and tie every Friday night with kind of like some of the old style football coaches. He's an old school kind of guy.
Well, you got to love it when they're looking good and they're playing the part. This is the first time in 5 years they have been viewless in their leadership.
Wow. No more views. There's no more views on that team.
That we know of.
That we know of. That we know of. Mike Views, the superintendent up there, his two boys played. They've been there for about 5 years, like you said. So they were good quality football players, Jeff. But, like I said before, you got to dance with the team you came with. They're going to find a way to put that thing together. And I like the chances of the Pinconning area Spartans this year.
After a short stint in the Tri-Valley, they're moving to the Jack Pine. Geographically and from the busing standpoint, smile and smile.
Oh, yeah, now those are some long rides for the Pinconning area Spartans in the Tri-Valley, Jeff, but I think it's a good move moving to the Jack Pine. They're going to see some schools that are similar in size. I think Gladwin might be on that schedule this year for Pinconning. Stanges Sterling, you got the Sanford Meridian. That's a good solid program, so I think going to the Jack Pine is good for the athletic side, and those long bus trips they still have some trips, but they're not going to be quite as long.
Well, when I look to the move to the Jack Pine, I don't just look at football. I look at it as a benefit for all of academics because your kids aren't going to be pulling back into the school at 11:30 at night, having to get home and then get up in the morning for school and or practice before school.
Well, and that's part of it. You got to, you look at football and basketball. You got to look at all sports. When you're deciding to go out of a league, you have to look at all sports, guys and girls. And you have to do what's best for your student athlete and what's best for the district. And when Mike View and the administration team and the athletic director, and I'm sure the booster club and the school board said, I think moving to the Jack Pine would be the best fit for Pinconning, I think they made the right choice.
I think it's going to be wonderful. Let's take a peek and see what two games we're blessed with from them this year.
Well, we've got game number 1 to start the year off, Jeff. Like we said, Pinconning is taking on the Stanley Sterling Central Panthers. And game number 2, we're going to be up there 2 weeks in a row, Pinconning versus the Harrison Hornets from up north. So that's a Jack Pine Conference, second game of the week. Going to be a lot of fun in Pinny this year.
Penny picked a good year to move because they had a 260-pound running back in Harrison last year, and he done did graduated, which has got to bring smiles to their faces.
Adios. See you later. We'll see the Hornets and the Panthers this year against Pinconning.
We'll be back in just a minute as our preseason special rolls on Bay County TV.
You treat your family with extraordinary care every day, which is why when it comes to their health, more of you choose Covenant Healthcare. We specialize in extraordinary care, from diagnosis to recovery, from babies to grandparents. Learn more about our extraordinary bariatrics program. Sign up for our free seminar.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Last but certainly not least, we are talking Western Warrior football.
Bay City Western Warrior, Jeff, coming off a 1-8 season last year. Second year head coach Chris Willards did a really nice job of really getting a different mindset out there at Bay City Western. And we all know that handy Wildcat and that Michigan State Spartan is dedicated to getting that program turned around. He did it the right way in the first year.
Well, coming into last year, he had to work to get these kids into the weight room. It started a little bit later than he would like, but he was talking 40 strong in the off season in the weight room. I think that in itself pays huge dividends.
Well, he's a real high energy guy, Jeff. He's he's a leadership type of guy, goes out and talks about leadership and positive, and that's what he brought to Western. They wanted some positive leadership and some energy. Not that the other coaches out there weren't doing that. Jeff Rawl did a fantastic job out there. You and I are both big Jeff Rawl fans,
yep.
But Chris is bringing a different dynamic. Everybody has a different coaching style. Chris is bringing that to the Warriors. A lot of positive energy and a lot of things off the football field where they can get together and have some camaraderie off the football field doing things.
Now, they did a little paintball exhibition before the season started. There was only one rule, and that's no hitty-coachy. Somehow, a stray errant shot hit him in the leg, and after he said, owie, then he smiled, and they just went on. The kids got a blast out of it, but what great bonding time.
Well, and that's what you got to do, Jeff. And sometimes the most important times with the team is off the field, away from the school, and just doing things together. That's why I like going to summer basketball camps when I was coaching basketball. Get away from Tom, get away from everything. You have your kids, have some fun, and just go out there and do what you can do and learn from your mistakes and have fun doing it.
This year they've got the luxury of two experienced quarterbacks, Jake Frizzell and Carter Bacigalupo.
Nice to have back-to-back like that, Jeff. I remember when I played at All Saints, I'd go on, play one, another quarterback come in. So we were interchanging all the time. That's not a bad way to go. Sometimes you got to get used to the different cadence, but really both of them are going to get a lot of experience, a lot of playing time as they did last year, and that's not a bad thing to have two quality quarterbacks for the Warriors.
One of the best names in football, Taylor Pop. That young man really burst on the scene on both sides of the football. He's got the ability to be a 1,000-yard rusher this year.
He is really a good football player, Jeff. Kind of an old-school type football player, kind of like a fullback type player. And again, he can run it through between the tackles, and he can go outside. But he is a hard-nosed runner, second, third, fourth effort. It's going to take more than one person to bring that young man down.
The other player offensively, Blake Michek, really did some good things last year. I think he's going to step up and have a big senior season.
Yeah, we liked the way he played last year, Jeff. That was really impressive. And a lot of those kids last year got more varsity experience. It was a tough year at 1-8, but you could see when we went out there to watch them, as soon as it got kicked off and the final horn went off, they played 100% the whole time, and that's to the coaching staff and to those kids out there. And they got a lot of pride out there at Western, and they're going to play some football this year.
On the defensive line side of the ball, you have got Wade Whitskill, who also really came into his own last year, and they're looking for huge things from him defensively and the move to tackle from center offensively.
Well, we called him a lot last year on the defensive side of the ball. He had really tremendous games the two times we were out there, Jeff. And again, experience is the key. You've got kids that were playing last year as juniors and sophomores, played a lot. They're getting in the seniors and juniors this year. That's going to pay dividends down the road for Coach Willards, his staff, and the Bay City Western Warriors. And the cornfield is going to be rocking this year because they're really fired up out there.
Week 1, they've got Flint Kersley. I saw them in the scrimmage yesterday, and I really feel positively strong about Western's opportunities to start their season off 1-0 for the first time since 2012.
Well, and that's a good way to start the season. And it's 7 years since they went 1-0 starting the season. And Jeff, and they broke an 18-game losing streak last year by winning that game. So you gotta crawl, then you take some baby steps, and then you get up and run and carry that football. Lots of excitement. I'm really, really excited to see what Western has on the field this year.
I like your grandpa analogy there. Grandfatherhood has been good to you, brother. Let's talk about the two games for Western this year.
Jeff, October 4th, John Glenn will be playing Western out at Western. And again, right back October 25th, we got the old rivalry, Central Western at the Ingle Stadium. Boy, that's going to be a fun game. And if those two teams are coming in with some playoff aspirations or whatever they're thinking about, win, loss, or whatever, we've been here many times. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Watch out, world. The Western Warriors are going to be heard from this year. We'll be back to put the wraps on our preseason special in just a minute on Bay County TV.
It doesn't matter what kind of weather. It doesn't matter what time of day or night. When Mother Nature's done her worst, The only thing that matters to us is keeping the lights on for you. The hard-working men and women of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, dedicated to keeping the power on in communities across the country. Because when bad weather strikes, we know what matters most. The IBEW, the power professionals.
Welcome back as we put the wraps on this preseason special for 2019. And Mike, we talk 2019 football. It brings a smile to our face.
It sure does, Jeff. We start talking probably beginning of August, get our preseason show going. We look at the schedule. Nick, you and I put that schedule together, and we were fired up early August, and it's less than a week away. And we're going to start out at Pinconning. We're going to end up at Central. We got some great games in between.
Now, again, when we're looking at this year, and we just reviewed all 6 teams, I look for all 6 Bay County schools to have improved win-loss records this year.
I would agree with that, Jeff. Again, we talked about the young players who had to step up last year, inexperienced players on a lot of these teams. They've got the experience now. They got that varsity taste. Going from JV up to varsity is a huge step no matter what league you're in, whether you're an 8-man or you're in the Saginaw Valley or the Tri-Valley. Those are big steps. So those kids got some experience. They know what to expect in a varsity game, and it's going to pay dividends, pay off for all those kids.
Right, and people have to understand last year, a lot of those kids weren't ready to be played. They were thrown into action, but they got valuable snaps, so they go ahead from there.
Yeah, and if they started out on the JV team, there was a reason they were down there, but they had to be brought up because things may be thin at some of those positions. But it's always nice to have experience at the varsity level, and I just think this group of teams this year have a lot of experience coming back to be successful.
Well, we are going to take a look right now at our entire 2019 football schedule for the fall, as we will go through them from week 1 through week 9.
All right, Jeff, our first game of the year is starting August 29th. It's the Pinconning area Spartans hosting the Stange-Sterling Central Panthers. September 6th, right back up at Pinconning. Pinconning hosting the Harrison Hornets. September 13th, Jeff, we make our first trip over to All Saints. All Saints will be taking on Flint International. On September 20th, the Garber Dukes will be hosting the Birch Run Panthers. And on September 27th, Central will be hosting John Glenn. On October 4th, John Glenn will travel out to the cornfield to take on the Western Warriors. October 11th, Garber will host the Stange-Sterling Central Panthers. October 18th, we'll be back at All Saints. All Saints Cougars versus Carsonville Port Sanilac, and we'll end up the regular season, Jeff, October 25th. The Bay City Central Wolves will be hosting the Bay City Western Warriors in a great rivalry game.
Well, and the one thing that you're going to have the custodial staff and the police all on alert, because those kids do the darndest things leading up to that football game.
They got great imagination sometimes, so you just don't know what's going to happen during that week. But Central Western Week is a great week, and you know what? All these teams are they have fun. We're going to see a lot of homecoming games. I think we saw 4 or 5 homecoming games last year. Make sure we'll get the court and the king and the queen and all the festivities. So we got a lot on the plate this year in 2019 for football.
When I look at all the rivalries that are down there, this is just going to be a fun-filled fall of Friday night football here on Bay County TV. That about puts the wraps on our preseason special. Glad you could be with us. On behalf of my partner, Mike Wasdala, I'm Jeff Doan. Very excited about the 2019 football season. We'll look forward to talking with you soon.